Let's focus in on some of those comments from Howard Lutnick with Stephen Schneider. He is a professor of criminology at St. Mary's University and author of ICE, the story of organized crime in Canada. He joins us from Halifax this evening. Stephen, you analyze drug policy. What do you make of the comments from Lutnick today and some of those numbers that he's given out?
Well, it's hard to argue with the kind of rank hypocrisy that comes out of the Trump administration. First of all, the Mexican cartels don't control synthetic drug production in Canada. Yes, we do have a problem with synthetic drug production. It's a lot of independents. There's a lot of biker gangs involved, and it's only recently that we've discovered, or police have discovered, some evidence that Mexican cartels may be involved. One lab in British Columbia was using a recipe that's associated with Mexican cartels. And Lutnick and Trump, of course, refuse to acknowledge that a vastly more amount of drugs come into Canada from the U.S. than vice versa. So much of the cocaine that comes into Canada either comes through marine ports, which will come from Colombia via some transit countries, or it'll come from Mexico. And that cocaine coming from Mexico comes through the United States. In fact, just less than 10 days ago, police in Ontario seized 835 kilograms of cocaine that was from Mexico, came to the United States. And they made a point of saying that this cocaine came to the United States. And now that the Mexican cartels are also involved in methamphetamine production and fentanyl production, that is also being commingled with cocaine coming through the American border into Canada. So we get far more drugs, illegal drugs, through the U.S. to Canada, including synthetic drugs, than is being sent to south of the border from Canada.
And Canadians are also dying from fentanyl. We have that problem in our country too. So with all the facts that you just gave then, Professor, why do you think the U.S. then is putting such a focus on this specific issue?
Well, I can't really delve into the mind of a psychopath like Trump, but it's part and parcel for his international bullying. I mean, certainly the United States have long criticized enforcement in Canada, drug enforcement, organized crime enforcement. I mean, long before Trump, every American administration has pressured Canada to adopt American laws, punitive laws. They want tougher three strikes you're out laws. They want tougher drug enforcement. They want minimum sentencing. They want Canada to adopt RICO, which is a very controversial legislation in the United States. So, and it's not just Canada, it's every country in the world has basically been pressured by the U.S. to adopt its destructive war on drugs. But certainly, I hate to agree with Trump, but more can be done by Canada to address synthetic drug production. I mean, the RCMP federal enforcement resources have been significantly depleted in recent years. And they're, responsible for national coordination of organized crime enforcement, drug enforcement, money laundering enforcement. So without a doubt, there is certainly credibility to the argument that there is more resources needed, federal enforcement in Canada and enforcement at the borders as well.
I mean, is this not a supply and demand issue? That's what Mexico says, right? Mexico says, stop the demand in your country for these drugs, then we won't be sending them there like this. And also, stop sending the guns our way, and it goes for us too. That is all part of this trade.
Well, absolutely. I mean, where does the hypocrisy end? I mean, without a doubt, it is a demand issue. But again, the United States has been, it doesn't really address demand. It's all about supply reduction. It's all about tough laws and tough enforcement. And you're exactly right. I mean, again, the hypocrisy that we, so many of crime guns in Canada now are from the U.S. Traditionally, it was usually about half the guns involved in crimes are stolen from Canadian households and half from the U.S. And now, because of tougher laws in Canada and increased or decreased regulation in the United States, we have much more crime guns in Canada from America. And look what's happening in Mexico. Tens of thousands of people are killed every year because of the drug wars, most of them being killed with American firearms.
I mean, to the point, I think Mexico is even suing America over this. We're going to keep talking about this. It's nice talking to you again, Professor. Stephen Schneider is a professor of criminology at St. Mary's University and the author of Iced, the story of organized crime in Canada. Thank you, Stephen.
Thanks for having me.